Now, last thing I want to cover here is another use case where we are not using this storage here, but I want to send the value I enter here to the other component and have it to be updated instantly. So like a push service, if you want to call it that way. So in order to do this, I'll use my data service here still, but I'll make some changes or additions to it. One will be a public property called push data, and this will be a new event emitter. So I'll import that from the Angular core package. And what I want to do is I'll add a new method here, which I will call push data 2. And in here, I'll use my push data property to emit a new event. Now, the data I will push will be a string. I know that. So I will push some string, a value, or I will emit this value to everyone listening to it. Now I'll come to the listening part. For now, I want to keep focused on the pushing part here. And this is why I created this event emitter and have this push data method. In component A now, I have this onSend method where I'll also pass the value of the input field. And then I'll implement this onSend method. And then I'll trigger this push data method in the data service to send the value passed into this method. Now in component B, I'll get rid of the send button because here I only want to be able to receive this. How do I receive this? I need to listen to this event emitter because I'm emitting events, but I need to be able to catch such events. Now before in the components module, we were using add_output to create our custom events where the parent component could listen to. Now here we have a totally different case. The event is emitted from a service, and that's a good thing because imagine you have more complex communication ways than from a child to the parent component. You certainly don't want to build a synthetical road with multiple outputs to get it where you want to get it. The better way is to use a service to have this direct connection. Now to get this connection, what I will do is I'll implement the onInit lifecycle hook here, onInit. And you could do the same in a constructor, but I prefer to use onInit as it is never a bad practice, but oftentimes a good one. So I'll implement onInit, ng onInit. And here I can then access my data service and the push data field and call the subscribe method on that. Now subscribe is a term you might know from observables, and I'll come to observables in the HTTP section. Basically it means that we're observing something else, in this case the event emitter, for events this thing is emitting. And we're subscribing to those events so that we get a notification whenever something is emitted. This subscribe method takes multiple callbacks, or at least we can specify multiple callbacks. Here I'm only interested in the first one, which is a callback triggered whenever data is emitted. In this case I will get back data, and here I use a fat arrow function, which is ES6 syntax, pretty comparable to the normal function with here function and then whatever. But unlike the normal function, this fat arrow function brings some advantages, especially when it comes to the usage of the this keyword. But this is no ES6 course. I recommend looking that up if you're not sure what this fat arrow function does mean. Over here, I will use it like a normal function. Data will be the argument passed into the function, and then the body will be, well, you could write it with curly braces, but it will only be a one-liner. So all I will do here is I will set this value, which is this private property up here, which is a string, an empty string at the beginning, equal to data, of which I know that it will be, I don't need a semicolon, which will be a string. So with that, I'm updating value, which I'm already outputting down here with string interpolation. Now here, I'll change something to not have that duplicate push data name. I'll name this pushed data, and therefore replace it here too to get rid of that error. And now this page should reload. And if I send this test value, you see it appear down here. And if I update it, it changes here too, as well if I send a longer text. And I can still store it and use it here too. But now I also have that way of passing data directly between components through a service using event emitters. A very useful pattern which you will probably often see and use in your applications, as it makes cross-component, or in general, cross-pieces communication in your application really, really simple.